It feels so good to be a happy clapper again, and I'm excited and I'm really intrigued to see what the first team Nuno is gonna pick. We're gonna go through that today. Your guess is gonna be as good as mine. Welcome to your preview for Forest versus Bournemouth. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest Forest video. Coming up in today's video, we're going to take you through the different possibilities we expect Nuno to go with in this match, this crucial match on Saturday. We'll very briefly touch on the Bournemouth team, and then, of course, we'll figure out, will the new manager bounce kick in for Nottingham Forest? Don't forget, if you're enjoying the video, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new to Forest Fan TV. And this is going to be interesting to say the least. Now, on yesterday's video, we talked you through all of Nuno's tactics, the ones he's used at Valencia, at Porto, at Wolves, etc. And how that nicely now links into this video. Because if you haven't seen that, make sure you've seen that first. It will probably give you a deeper understanding of the way Nuno thinks. And then come back and watch this video. But for the rest of you who've seen it, well done firstly. And let's jump in and start talking about the possibilities we could see on Saturday. Okay, so basically we know it's going to be one of three formations. Either the 3-4-3, the 3-5-2, or the 4-2-3-1. Now, recently he's been playing the 4-2-3-1 in Saudi. But at Wolves, his favoured one to start with was the 3-4-3, and then he developed into the 3-5-2. And I see each of these formations having a bit of a headache for him. I'm going to start with the 3-4-3. If he goes 3-4-3, now the other things we know, he loves pace and he loves width on the pitch. And he loves to block out the middle with his central midfielders. So let's start with the keeper. I think the keeper's an easy one. I think he's going to go Vlachodimos. I can't see him putting Turner in. It's a good time to drop him after the shenanigans at Spurs. So he will go in. Bolly, I think Bolly definitely comes in because Bolly's going to be the most comfortable with the philosophy of Nuno and the tactics of Nuno. And he can probably guide and lead everyone on. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bolly as captain as well. Although personally, I'd probably give it to Niakate. Who would you guys make captain? Let me know down below. But then I think what you'll see is Murillo in the... Does he go left or middle? I think Murillo goes middle because he does treat his back three slightly different. I'll talk about that in a second. And I think Niakate will come in at left side of the three. And that will be your three. Now, in terms of the wing backs, I think he wants pace here, and I think we can see some changes. I think, potentially, Montiel is going to be given a shot here, and he's going to come on this kind of right-sided wing-back position. And Atafalo's been brilliant, but I think because of the pace, we may see Tavares come in on this left-hand side. Look, Nuno has been studying the videos, and if he was to go and put the same team out that Cooper did against Spurs, then realistically what's going to change? We're probably going to play less of a low block, but the players and the chemistry isn't going to be quite there. So I think we do need a spice up in what we're doing. And I'm not Tavares' biggest fan as a defender, but going forward, he's actually not bad. And I think we could see him being given a chance. So I think that's how the 5 defensive players, if you like, will set up in the 3-4-3. Now, that leaves you 2 in midfield. And I think the best combo we've currently got in there, I think Mangala's been brilliant. I feel like maybe he gets dropped. I'm not convinced. But I think Mangala will come in. And I think for sure Sangare is going to be back. I mean, Marinakis is not going to be allowing him really to leave a 30-odd million pound player on the bench. Obviously subject to fitness. So I think that's going to be your midfield 4, if you like. And then we have to have pace up front because that's what he plays with. So I think the easy choice here is that Elanga will come on either on the left or right hand side. I actually think he'll go with Chris Wood, and I'll explain why in a second. But his big headache is Morgan Gibbs-White in this formation, because I don't think Morgan Gibbs-White is a wide player. I think if I was going to do this formation, and don't shoot me down, but I would probably put Williams at right winger. I think that looks more balanced to me. And I think Williams has been really good going forward in the last couple of games. And then Morgan Gibbs-White on the bench. You see what I mean with the headache? This is where it gets tough. I don't actually mind the look of that team, to be honest, apart from Chris Wood, obviously. Now, why have I put Chris Wood in? Because the pace is going to come from the wings. Chris Wood will need to play as a back-to-goal kind of striker who can hold the ball up and then feed in the wingers and the overlappers. Because what you're going to find is Tavares will be given a license to go forward. Elanga will tuck in a little, a bit like the Jota role. And it will be the same on this side. Montiel will always attack forward. So when we're attacking, I expect it to be kind of in that shape with ideally Sangare holding. Now, if he does play Sangare in the correct position, for me, this is where you could drop Mangala, who I love and I think has been really good. But the person who would be better suited to this would probably be Dominguez to play that slightly advanced 8, if you like. It's almost like an 8/6, but around there. With Sangare holding, I kind of prefer that, but I think it's harsh to drop Mangala. You could put Danilo there as well, but I don't think Danilo's been in great form this season. And the other argument would be obviously to put Origi instead of Wood. I think this would be my preferred partnership. This Dominguez Sangare, Montiel Tavares, and then Williams, Elanga, and Wood up front. Now, if he's not going to play Tavares, because I think Tavares may end up going back, I know it's harsh on Tuffalo because he's been really good. But again, Einar provides a lot of pace on this left-hand side. He's quicker than Tuffalo. So that would be the other option. But I do think Nuno wants to have a look at all of the players. So I know I've given you like 600 different variations there. But I think we may end up with, if he goes for the 3-4-3, with a team that looks like that. And the big headline may be that Morgan Gibbs-White is dropped. Now, will he drop Morgan Gibbs-White, especially as Morgan Gibbs-White understands him and knows his philosophy a bit like Bolly? Maybe not. So you could see him shoehorned in on the right-hand side, and I don't think that's a good idea. But what do you guys think of this 3-4-3 team? Would you go with it? And if you would, is there any changes you would make? Okay, so if he goes to the 3-5-2 formation, which will give him an extra body in midfield, let's assume, because we can argue the fullbacks or the wingbacks all day long. Let's just pretend that we've got it right for now. And what I think you will see here is probably and most likely Sangare and Mangala here. And then Morgan Gibbs-White coming in that third, not as a 10, but more so as an advanced 8, if you like, because that's how he used him at Wolves. I don't think Williams would get in, or Williams may get in at fullback. Then this is the headache, is what do you do up front? Now he likes pace. He likes pace. And how he's used it before is he would use Jimenez, as I told you in the other video, to be that flick-on boy, if you like, freaking Grant Holt settings. And then the pacey secondary striker to latch onto them and get in behind. And then obviously the width would come from your fullbacks. And Sangare and Mangala would hold. Now, I don't like this one as much, but it does kind of get Morgan Gibbs-White back into the team. I'm not fully convinced on this one, but I do have a feeling he might go for it. Yes, it would give us domination in the midfield, because when it comes to talk about Bournemouth in a second, they play a 4-2-3-1. And their two, I think it's Christie and Cook at the moment, are really holding that midfield down, but they're both small players. Well, the fuller Bournemouth stuff will come on this evening because we've done a preview with Statman John. And you'll get all the inside details, if you like, on Bournemouth there. But look, this could work. This would work better if we had Taiwo. You know, that would be the difference. I don't know, guys. What do you think? I think the 3-5-2 would set up something like this. But it's still that Chris Wood headache for me. He could work. He could work. Let's move on. So if we change this round into what he's been doing in Al Ittihad, which is the 4-2-3-1, obviously you need to lose a centre back. I think it might be Niakate that's dropped if he goes to a back four, because I don't think we'll see this as Cooper's done when Niakate's played right centre back, when he's a left centre back, etc. So I think Niakate may get dropped and we go Murillo and Bolly as the two. And if that's the case, you definitely don't want to be playing Nico Williams on the right side because he's not a fullback. So you could see, and I would say Montiel, he can do it, but he's not defensively strong enough. So potentially what you could see in the 4-2-3-1 is Einar coming in on the right-hand side and then Tuffalo coming in on the left as the 4. And then you're going to have your two sitters. Again, I think it would be Sangare and Mangala. And then this creates the natural ease of headache on the Morgan Gibbs White thing because you can play him more so in the 10 here. Put Elanga on the left, and then you probably bring in Origi in here on the right-hand side. Now, Cooper's tried this before and failed miserably at playing the 4-2-3-1. But Nuno has way more experience at doing it than Cooper, and he wouldn't use it as a low block. And this would potentially, this may be a reason why he plays it, because Marinakis wants to see some free-flowing football, wants to see some more attacking football. So Marinakis may have already put some pressure on Nuno to go with this formation. Do I like the look of this team? Yes, apart from Chris Wood. Could Chris Wood work in this if used correctly? Yes, he could. If he's that target man who can play in the wingers and then get in the box and get the lead out of his boots and actually try and jump for once. But again, if I was doing this, I would go with Origi. I would put Origi up front. Where the hell's Origi? Oh, whoops, there's Origi there. I wanted Callum Hudson-Odoi on the right wing. There he is. Found him. Okay, so I would probably go with Origi up front. I just think it gives you a bit more pace. He can play a bit with his back to goal. I'm still not convinced on him, but he hasn't been given a crack. And I think the key thing here is that Nuno said everyone has a clean slate. His door is open to everyone. So I do like the look of this team a bit better. I think Sangare and Mangala will be fantastic as a 2 in a 4-2-3-1. And Morgan Gibbs White may actually play better centrally like this. So I think if he goes the 4-2-3-1, this is what he will do. Get your thoughts in down below. All right, so let's have a quick look at the Bournemouth team. Again, I'll just kind of glaze over it because John will talk you through it all in the preview this evening at 6 p.m. And they're a 4-2-3-1, as I said. And they're starting to click really well. And I'm not a big fan of the team, but I am starting to respect what Areola is doing there. Now, the big interesting thing is that Phil Billings isn't starting for them anymore. He's been dropped as an impact sub, and I hate him because he always scores against us, literally from the same blade of grass as well, got 30 yards out, wherever it was. The ones that have been impressing me the most, Cook has been really good. And Christie, who's not really an 8 or a 6, has dropped down and is kind of fluked his position there, and suddenly they've uncovered him accidentally in that position, and he's been quite decent. Semenyo is the one that worries me because I highly rate this player. Now, he didn't have the greatest game against Man U, but he's been sensational for them and part of the reason of their upturn in form over the last few weeks. And Tavernier, the guy that Forest nearly got, he's also adapted well to the Premier League, and then Solanke is getting them the goals at the moment. Kluivert has come in and started to establish himself in this kind of free roll 10 position. But their defense, I don't really rate their defense too much. But Areola has got them absolutely clicking right now. However, what I will say, in the unfortunate game they had against Luton, which obviously had to get postponed for medical reasons, they didn't look as good as they looked in the other games, in my opinion. Luton went 1-0 up early on, and yes, then Bournemouth got themselves back into the game. But this will roughly be their team. They've started to settle on a team. And you know, once you settle on a team, that things are starting to go right in your favour. So I'll leave John to give you all the boring details about Bournemouth later on. So tune in for that 6 p.m. I've really sold it to you. Okay, so how do I see this game working out? It depends what Nuno does with the formation. I can't put my hat on any one of those three. I think they're all feasible to happen. I think I'll roughly have the right players in there. I would quite like to see Santos given a chance, but I don't know how he quite fits him in. So we may see him on the bench. And Tavares, who I've never been convinced about, I still kind of like the idea of seeing him going forward in that 5-back formation. Gets wide, he's got pace. It could be interesting. But either way, I just feel the manager bounce is coming. I feel that fire in me again for Forest that I've lost over the last 2 to 3 weeks. It's so good to feel excited and looking forward to a game again and really feel like you want to scream at the players with love, with frustration, with everything. That feels like it's all back with me. I just feel like this new chapter, this new era, hopefully can start off with a manager bounce. Bournemouth will be fearful of Forest. They always have an inferiority complex to us because they're scared of us. We've achieved more. But they always just seem to pip us every time we play them. They are really getting to be a bit of a bogey team for me. But new manager, new rules. I'm going for a Forest 2-0 win. Clean sheet, 2 goals. Take that Nuno, run with it, and keep that smile on my face. What are you guys predicting? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. We've got the reaction to the presser from this morning. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. We'll have John from Beat the Drop. You all know John. Check that out, 6 p.m. this evening. And until then, as always, come on you Reds.